What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports, back again with another one. One of the biggest names in the sport of boxing, one of the biggest attractions in the sport of boxing, regular WBA lightweight champion, Gervonta Tank Davis, will defend his belt versus WBA super featherweight champion, Hector Garcia. The fight's going down on Showtime pay-per-view in Washington, D.C., a.k.a. Chocolate City. This will be the best opponent with the best pedigree of Gervonta Tank Davis' pro career. Vice versa as far as Hector Garcia. Gervonta Tank Davis by far is the best opponent with the best pedigree that he has fought thus far. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. Very interesting matchup. This is going to be a very exciting fight because the styles make for a great fight. You have two aggressive fighters, but both fighters can box. Now both fighters fight out of the southpaw stance, so the first couple of rounds might be fill-out rounds, as footwork is going to be very, very prevalent in the first couple of rounds, as both fighters are going to be trying to establish themselves to get the right position, to get off their shots. So it might be very, very awkward starting off as far as the first couple of rounds goes. So we will see what happens. And we will see what transpires. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis has a great jab, but sometimes he tends to use that jab as a range founder to get off and set up the left hand. He can't do that in this fight because Garcia is going to make him pay if he uses that jab as a range founder. He'll come over the top with a left hook, and he'll come up beneath that jab with a left hook to the body. So he's going to have to be very, very consistent with the jab as far as using that jab, which is a strength of his, to make Hector Garcia constantly have to reset. Now, Garcia has a good jab too. He knows how to control distance with that jab. He was using the Mayweather shoulder roll in his last fight. That surprised me because I hadn't seen that from him in his previous fights. He's more of an aggressive come-forward fighter, a fighter that breaks his opponent down with body shots and just overwhelms his opponents with his physicality. He showed a different side of himself in that fight. So it was a very, very interesting matchup, and I can't wait to see these two elite fighters throw hands January 7th. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But again, Gervonta must establish the jab. He must make Hector Garcia pay from trying to close distance. Garcia must close distance. He must bully Gervonta Tank Davis on the ropes like he did Chris Colbert. Once he's up on the ropes, use his shoulder to cut off Gervonta Tank Davis's exit. Gervonta Tank Davis is going to be looking to catch him with combinations, turn him, and make him reset, and then jab from the outside and basically beat him with speed, beat him with combinations, and beat him with the overall athleticism that he has over Hector Garcia. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, Gervonta must jab not only up top, but jab to the body. He must be the more consistent fighter as far as landing the left hand. And that's what it's basically going to boil down to. A lot of this fight going to boil down to which fighter can land the left hand more consistently. Which fighter can land the left hand more consistently is going to really be the fighter that is winning this fight. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. But the difference is, even if Gervonta Tank Davis is losing the fight, he's got the ultimate equalizer. He's got power in both hands. He has a beautiful uppercut. So he was trailing in Rolly fight, in my opinion, and stopped him in the 6th round. A lot of people said he was trailing in the Mario Barrios fight. I didn't have him down in that Mario Barrios fight, but a lot of people had him down in the Mario Barrios fight. He was able to stop him in the second half of that fight. So he's a guy that's never out of fight, and he's a guy that is very, very tough to deal with because he brings a lot that you have to worry about. Not only power, but he's a very good boxer, very underrated boxer. He's a guy that fights similarly to Floyd Mayweather Jr., but has the power and the ferociousness of a Mike Tyson. So that's a deadly combination, and he's a guy that is always one punch away from ending the fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Kind of like, Deontay Wilder, who's always one punch away from getting his opponent up out of there. What Deontay Wilder has said in previous fights, you got to be perfect for 12 rounds. I just got to be perfect for 2 seconds. And same could be said for Gervonta Tank Davis. Hector Luis Garcia kind of reminds me of Joe Frazier as far as he is a true test for an elite fighter. If you're elite, you'll beat him. If you got any weaknesses, if you got any stamina issues, Joe Frazier was going to bring that weakness out of you. That same could be said for Garcia, as he brought all that out of Chris Colbert, who couldn't maintain the pace that he had in the first 6 rounds, got broken down to the body, got dropped in the second half of that fight, and then waved the white flag and went to survival mode versus Luis Garcia. He'll be looking to implement the same game plan versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Gervonta Tank Davis will be tested. His heart will be tested in this fight. Luis Garcia is from the DR, Dominican Republic. A lot of good fighters coming out of that country, and a lot of good fighters recently have had a lot of success, and he'll be looking to keep that momentum going. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. This is not a tune-up fight. Miss me with all the tune-up talk going into this fight. This is a legitimate fight. This is arguably the best opponent of Gervonta Tank Davis's career. And like I said, vice versa as far as Hector Luis Garcia, this is obviously the toughest and best opponent of his career. So give credit where credit's due for him to take on him with the Ryan Garcia fight set up for April. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I like Gervonta Tank Davis by 10th round stoppage. He has the power advantage, he has the speed advantage, and he has a higher boxing IQ. Not to say that Luis Garcia don't have a higher boxing IQ. He's a very smart fighter, but it's levels to this, as the great Floyd Mayweather said. And I think he's just on another level than Hector Luis Garcia, and that will ultimately show out in the championship rounds, as I look for Gervonta Tank Davis to stop him in the 10th round to retain the WBA regular lightweight title. But he must set up everything off the jab. Can't use it as a range finder. That's the key. And it's going to come down to which fighter can land the left hand consistently. Won't be a bit surprised when Gervonta Tank Davis gets the stoppage in the 10th round that he's down on the scorecards. I think the first half of the fight is going to be very close, very competitive. Won't be a bit surprised if Garcia's up. And I would be a bit surprised if he's up going into the 10th round, something like 5 rounds to 4 before Gervonta Tank Davis gets him up out of there. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Who you like in this particular matchup? If you think it's going to be a knockout, let me know in the comment section. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. Before I holler, one thing that Garcia is not going to have in his advantage like he had going into that last fight against Roger Gutierrez, he showed that he can box. So he's not going to surprise Gervonta Tank Davis as far as boxing goes. Gervonta Tank Davis said in the lead up to this fight that Hector Luis Garcia is a more skillful fighter than Ryan Garcia, which is the fight everybody is looking forward to in April. So all these people saying this is a tune-up fight, Gervonta Tank Davis said out of his own mouth that Luis Garcia is a more skillful fighter than Ryan Garcia. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. So that surprise element that he would have had maybe on Gervonta Tank Davis, that he had on Roger Gutierrez, because he had never fought that style of fight before, showing his boxing prowess, I don't think he's going to be able to surprise Gervonta. I think Gervonta is going to be ready for that. And I think he's going to be able to basically beat him at that style of fighting. So I like him to stop him in the 10th round again. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.